It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and Tan. All right, welcome into the Border War for April the 25th. This is BG. I'm here with TanMan. We have a lot to get to today, but before we start, we would like to thank everybody who listened, downloaded the show last week. Special thanks to listeners in Casey, South Carolina, Mocksville, North Carolina, and Mount Laurel, New Jersey. You can follow us on Twitter at The Border War. I'm at BG_Border War, and TanMan is at TanMan3264. Email us at carolinaborderwar@gmail.com. Like and download us through the Spreaker app. We can also be found on YouTube, and be sure to like and share us on Facebook. All right, TanMan, it is the week of the NFL Draft. It's Wednesday where we are, so the draft starts tomorrow night. The first round will be live on ESPN, I think, at 8 p.m.
It will last until 4 a.m.
Yeah, rounds 2 and 3 will be Friday. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 later.
Yeah.
Where do they stop at 6 now, right?
How do you like the new first round primetime change they made to the draft? Because I know it used to start like Saturday at noon.
Right.
And they would have the first and the second round on Saturday, and it would go from like noon until, no exaggeration, like 1 o'clock in the morning. The first round was like 15 minutes a pick. It lasted like 9 hours.
I would be happier with it if it was the first 2 rounds tomorrow night and it was a little faster. I don't like the time between the drafts, between each pick.
Well, they say it used to be 15. I think it's down to like 10 now. I mean, I don't know how much less time you want to give those to.
I think 30 seconds is enough. I mean, that's when I do it myself on the console games.
Madden?
Yeah, I mean, I don't need a long time.
Not me. I pause it.
Well, I pause it.
I pause the clock.
I was about to say. Yeah,
I pause the clock.
In fact, I think you're the one who taught me that trick. Because I was stressed. I was like, I can't pick.
It would automatically give you a player. I'm like, no, I've already got like 9 receivers. I don't want that receiver. But
why do I have 4 kickers on my roster?
You just pause it, and then it takes me as long as an actual NFL draft to do a draft on Madden.
No, it does.
Yeah.
But you do not have the situation where you can't get your pick turned in on time, and you just miss out on a draft. What was that, the Vikings that did that?
Yeah. But no, it just gives you a player.
Right, but in real life, you don't get a player. You just don't get one. You just don't. So, mock drafts. All right, mock drafts, they're a good thing. They're also a terrible thing.
Oh, man.
There's too many of them. You and I did not do one.
This is the first time in several years I haven't tried to do one.
Yeah, I mean, if you think picking an NCAA bracket is hard, try filling out a mock draft.
Oh, my goodness.
Because as soon as one player's off, the whole thing's shot. And I mean, I think that is what these big boards look like for teams. Am I wrong? I mean, it's sort of like we rank these guys, and as soon as one of them goes, we just sort of drop down to our next player. So it's sort of a cause and effect chain. So I don't know. How do you want to approach this discussion?
We'll start off the Browns start the draft, obviously. They've got the number 1 pick. The popular opinion out right now is that it's down between Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. You look through a lot of the mock drafts, I think a lot of people are kind of seeing through that, thinking it's maybe a smokescreen because you see a lot of Sam Darnolds. See Josh Allen in 1 or 2 of them. And obviously, like I said, there's 500, but I looked at 5 or 6 and called it a day. You saw a lot of Darnold. You saw a few Josh Allens. We talked about the draft a few weeks ago. It seems like there's a consensus on the top 5 players because for the most part, they're all kind of within that.
Although
there's
less of a consensus now than there was a few weeks ago. I mean, it seems like it's more like the top 8 players now. Not that it's that big of a difference, but
yeah,
I personally think the Browns are going to take Darnold. I think they're going. I don't think they're going to do anything fancy here. Let's remember last year, right? They ended up taking the guy everybody had originally thought they were going to take. We had all this discussion. Will the Browns do this? Well, no. And they've sort of proven that, and they do need a quarterback. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is not going to be their franchise quarterback.
Okay, well, we said this. We've talked about this. Before a few weeks ago.
We did. I'm not saying they should.
Unless you feel like one of these guys is going to be your quarterback for a decade. You look bad because you punted on Carson Wentz and you punted on Deshaun Watson, and both of those guys look like they're going to be really good players. But there's not really, out of these three guys, there's not really a guy that anybody jumps out and stands on a table and says, "Man, this guy is going to be great." Now, if you are dead set on taking a quarterback, to me, in my opinion, it's got to be Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold is the one. He's the one guy that everyone seems most comfortable with. He's the least amount of
and
risk
he seems
associated
to have the most
with him.
potential personality-wise to grow into the NFL.
And the least amount of risk associated with him.
Who do you take if you're the Browns? What do you do? I mean, other than go home and cry. But, I mean, you're the GM of the Browns. What do you do? There are two players I would consider, and neither one of them are a quarterback.
It's tough.
Right,
because I can see both sides. I know, okay, they need a quarterback, all right?
Yeah, but wasting a pick on somebody doesn't get you there.
Right. But if you take Sam Darnold at 1, and Sam Darnold, and USC people will say he's not ready to play right now.
Yeah.
He's not ready right now.
Which be why they went and got Tyrod Taylor.
Which is fine, because you've got Tyrod Taylor, and he can hold the fort down for a year or two. But Sam Darnold's also not going to get you fired if 4 years from now he's just kind of okay, because he's the guy that everyone says is is probably the best quarterback of the bunch. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
If you take Josh Allen,
right.
If you take Josh Allen and Josh Allen turns out to be a bum, people all over that building are going to lose their job.
Oh sure.
But if you take Darnold,
the Browns aren't in a position to roll the dice. I don't think. Right.
He's the safe pick.
Then everybody says, well, we would have taken him too.
Right. I would take. I said the other week I would take Saquon Barkley.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. And the other player I was going to bring up as a possibility, if I don't take, because Saquon Barkley is the best player in the draft. He's by far the safest player in the draft. As far as you see him in the top 5 in different places on everybody's draft board.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I take the defensive end Chubb out of North Carolina State and put him across from my number 1 pick last year and shore up that defensive line. But I'm probably going to take Saquon Barkley if I'm the Cleveland Browns. But the crazy thing is, that's the one thing that isn't going to happen.
And the thing about Chubb is, I think you could get Chubb at 4. Of the handful of drafts I looked at, I saw one that didn't have Cleveland taking Bradley Chubb at 4, and
a lot of people have Cleveland not keeping that 4 pick too.
Yeah, well, that's true. But that was one, and it seems to be kind of outlier that had Chubb going at 2 to New York.
Let's talk about that Giants pick for a minute. Do you think? Well, we don't want to get too far into that. That's one of your thumbs up or thumbs down.
Well,
right? Yeah,
we can talk about. I think the draft, the whole thing hinges on what New York does it to.
Oh yeah.
If all right, if they stay and they take...
Yeah, let's do the if. If they stay.
If they stay and they take Saquon Barkley...
I think that's the most likely scenario.
Which to me seems most likely. Then the Jets are going to take their quarterback, and then Cleveland is going to take... Now, to me, it gets interesting if
the Giants take a quarterback.
If the Giants take a quarterback, or if the Giants trade out of 2 and take someone like, for instance, Buffalo or Arizona or Miami, teams in that middle of the first round that, are interested and in the market for a quarterback that want to get ahead of the Jets.
One of the things, what I did is I did like you did. I looked at multiple drafts, and what I did is after I looked at multiple ones, I just wrote down some things that I sort of noticed as being common denominators, right? Okay, and we're going to talk about Mayfield here in a second, but one of the things I wrote down was that from what I've seen, and this isn't my analysis, this is sort of my analysis of other people's mock drafts, that the Bills seem to be the most likely team to draft up.
You saw
to trade up
Buffalo a lot.
And it's either at that 2 spot or that 4 spot. So I think you're very likely to see Buffalo try to make that move. The question is who deals with them, whether it's the Giants or whether it's the Browns. who makes that move.
Yeah. Just to throw some against the wall, I did see one that had the Patriots trading up as well. Now, I think that's kind of a long shot.
To do what?
To take a quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But one of the guys the guy that
they had a couple of good ones.
Yes, they had a, well,
back to that.
Who are you most interested in following, other than the Redskins and the Cowboys? Who in that top half of the draft are you most interested to see in what they do?
I think the Browns and the Giants, and it's not not just because of where they are in the draft, but okay, obviously the Giants is sort of the same as following the Redskins and the Cowboys, right? What they do directly affects us. And then the Browns, I'm just fascinated with them because how can they come out of this not being way better? I mean, that's I want to see if they address. And it's one of those things, the draft's great. You don't know how good your draft is until after a couple of seasons. But the Cleveland Browns are one of those teams that secretly I would just love to see them win a world championship. I really would.
Well, they're a long way from that. Let's start with drafting somebody that's not a total bum.
Well, but what I'm saying is, because I want to see that, then their draft interests me every year. But with the number of picks they've got this year, it's absolutely fascinating.
To me, it's the Giants. And, be it in the division, in the NFC East aside, like I said, I believe that they control the entire night of the whole first round. Depends on what the Giants do, because there's so many different, chess pieces, and if they do this, then this team can come up and do the kind of stuff. It just fascinates me. It can literally affect like 9 teams of what happens with the Giants' number 2 pick.
Because there are picks that other people might be interested in trading for that won't be there if the Giants take their pick at second. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, so Baker Mayfield. That's a hot name.
He's
Some
everywhere.
people have him going first overall. I don't buy that. I don't see that happening. Do you?
Common sense says no.
But, who knows, right?
But this is the Browns.
And it's the Browns.
It's the Browns. And Baker Mayfield is someone that he hasn't taken a snap. He hasn't played a game in 3.5 months. And he hasn't thrown a pass. But I believe that coming out of their season, everyone looked at him like, he's a borderline NFL quarterback. Maybe he is. I don't really know. And I think once Mayfield got into these meetings and he gets to sit down and actually talk, and he's not just a guy on TV making obscene gestures across the field, and teams actually get to look at him and talk to him, I think that he quells a lot of those fears about it. I think he's an interesting guy. I think he's it would be an interesting pick. Now, would I take him at 1 and make him the whole foundation for my draft? No. Right. I just think there's too much, like we talked about with Darnold, there's too much risk there for me to justify taking him at 1. But I do believe the Browns are interested in him. And if they don't take a quarterback, if they pass on the quarterback at 1, I believe Mayfield will be the choice at 4. If they stay and they take Barkley at 1, I could see them, if they hang on to 4, it wouldn't surprise me if Mayfield was their choice at 4.
Wow.
Because I don't think if you want Mayfield, you don't have to take him at 1.
No.
You don't have to take him at 1. You could, he'll be there at 4 probably.
Why do you think he's climbed up? Is it what you're saying? You think he's just interviewed well?
Yeah, I think he's just got in there. He's. Yeah.
See, I think he
seems to be a smart guy. I think he gets in there, he gets on the board, and teams fall in love with him on a one-on-one level.
I think he and Josh Rosen are on opposite sides of the pulley, and that he's going up because Rosen's dropping down. And because of the opposite problem, I think when people talk to him, they're like, I don't like this guy that much. And he does. And now you and I talked about this earlier this week, obviously not on the show, and how annoyed you thought annoying you thought the phrase "Are you in love with football?" is. We were talking about Clowney at the time, but I do think in Josh Rosen's case, it may be apropos to have this guy you're about to load your franchise onto his shoulders, and you're not even sure he wants to be on a team like that. That kind of thing bothers you a little.
Yeah,
because this is a guy that could walk. His family's rich.
Yeah, at any time.
Yeah, and
well, yeah, you just hit a nail on the head. Someone that could slip. Is there anybody else?
That's the name I had.
Yeah.
I think Rosen's gonna. I think he's gonna be the guy, like Manziel was, that they keep putting the camera on.
Somebody take me.
And
I need to wreck this league.
I think he won't fall further than 10th or 11th, but I think he drops a little bit. I think Josh Allen goes before him.
I was going to say, for a guy that was in the mix for a number 1 pick a few weeks ago, going 10th or 11th, that's pretty far.
Yeah.
Here's one for you, and this would take a quite a scenario, but a guy that I could see slipping some, and he's not going to slip to 10 or 11 or anything like that. His name, Saquon Barkley. I think he's the best player in the draft.
But is that a risky position?
He's at the running back position.
And a lot of people think you can get good value second round, third round.
You're looking, I'm going to be able to get Sony Michel or Nick Chubb the next day.
And I mean, Nick Chubb could go in the third round.
But, say the Browns, the Browns take their quarterback, or, if the Giants trade out of 2, then it's going to be somebody wanting to come up to take the quarterback, right? Somebody's want to come up, they want to get ahead of Jets. I could see a scenario where Saquon Barkley falls to Denver at 5. And if he falls to Denver at 5, that means the quarterbacks are, the top quarterbacks are gone. They've signed Case Keenum. I don't see them going out and reaching for a Mayfield or anything. I think they're going to take Barkley, because when was the last time Denver actually had a running back? That's what they were known for all through the 90s, was running backs. And it seems like every year they plug, 3 or 4 different guys. And it's starting with like No Sean Marino. They haven't had one since they drafted that guy.
It's true.
Including him. And so if Barkley's there, I could see a scenario where Barkley slips down to Denver at 5.
I think Hayden Hurst could drop a bit too, as he's gotten that first round pick. But if you look at the teams that are drafting early on, a lot of them, the tight end's just not something they're looking at. No. I don't even know what a tight end in the NFL is anymore. I mean, he's just a big guy that can catch the football.
I didn't really see his name on some of the mock drafts that I was pulling up, actually.
Yeah, I could see him falling into the second round. Yeah. Somebody's going to get a great player.
I'd say a good steal in round 2 of that
guy. Okay, well, I don't know. Is there anybody who you think should go higher than they're being projected? Because I've got a big one.
Oh, well, I've actually got 2. One is Calvin Ridley. Ridley is being right now projected somewhere in the mid first round to the end.
We'll probably take him at 13. Don't worry.
Say as high as 12, as low as 27 to New Orleans. So Calvin Ridley in New Orleans would be amazing for him. And then the other one, I don't believe Mason Rudolph is getting the love and attention that he should.
And he's used to it, apparently. Did you see that article in the state newspaper this week?
I did not.
Steve Spurrier Jr. just not interested.
Oh, yeah. But Mason Rudolph is a guy that I think is going to have a really good career. And when people look back 4 or 5 years from now and go, man, I got that guy. They got that guy at pick, 38 or whatever it turns out to be, is going to be a heck of a steal for somebody.
If I was going to go out on a limb and roll the dice on a quarterback at number 1 overall, you want to take a guess who I would pick? Now, keep in mind, I said if I was going to roll the dice. It's not Baker Mayfield. It's Lamar Jackson.
At 1?
Yes. If I was going to go, I would take Lamar Jackson at 1 before I would take Baker Mayfield at 1. Look at his college stats.
No way.
He's got the same numbers as this kid out of Wyoming. The only difference is he's a freakish athlete, too. I bet you money here today and now that he has a better NFL career than that kid out of Wyoming.
No way, man. Lamar Jackson at 1. That's what you just said.
You think that
everybody.
makes less sense than a kid out of Wyoming at 1?
Well, yeah.
Or a 6'1" quarterback at 1.
Well, I think Josh Allen is 6'4", 230 or whatever. I mean, when you design a quarterback, he's the guy. Again, you draft him and he's he's just kind of okay. Yeah, you're probably not going to get hammered for. But if you take Lamar Jackson at number 1,
I didn't say I would. But you're talking about people taking Baker Mayfield at 1, which is just as absurd.
I would take Mayfield at 1 before I took Jackson.
No way.
It's not even close.
No way. Mayfield doesn't have the arm talent Lamar Jackson has. He just doesn't. You want to go watch the film, that's fine. I mean, you can sit here, but your opinion's not based on anything other than your strange notions in your head, man.
Well, as we said a lot over the summer, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Moving on to the NBA.
I can't remember all the things we said that about now. What did time tell? I think I was probably right most of the time. Not much.
The NBA playoffs, the first round, coming to a close. We've got some series who are in crunch time, a couple that are over. BG, one of the most disappointing teams, I think, has got to be the Portland Trailblazers. Getting swept out.
I basically didn't even bring that up because I was just like, well, what else can you put?
As far as the most impressive run in the first round, again, the flip side of that to me is the Pelicans. It's Anthony Davis, 47 points on the road in a closeout game, 33 for the series. You can make an argument for Philadelphia, but to me, New Orleans has been the most impressive team. What do you think this means for
Philadelphia going forward? What does this do to Boogie Cousins? I mean, like, what does that mean? They look better without him.
Well, that's kind of been the
like
story.
We were talking about with your guys up in Indianapolis. I mean, they look better without PG-13. They've looked better all year without PG-13. I mean, like, what does that mean?
Well, that's kind of been the story, that everybody's wanted to hit on. I mean, the team has looked much better without Cousins. Some of the theorists, I know my man Jerry V was talking about it today. He thinks that Cousins just kind of slows things down and grinds the offense down. And Davis, having him in there, he's able to get out and shoot the ball a little bit and get stretch the floor a little. And that they might be better off without Boogie.
But they can certainly get value for him. They're not in a bad position.
No, they're not. No, they are not.
I think this could be.
I think that Philadelphia looks like they are.
You imagine if the Pelicans were in the East?
Oh God, no.
But it's still weird to me that they're not. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But because there's too many. Everybody lives in the East. I get it. But man, if they were, that would be a headache.
Yeah. Imagine what Philadelphia. Speaking of headache, what's Philadelphia going to be like in a couple of years?
Philadelphia.
Ben Simmons can't shoot right now.
Oh, I know.
He can't shoot, and he's easily the best player on the floor in that first round series. I mean, they're going to be.
I don't see any way right now because again, okay, let's just throw it out there. Let's say everything falls into place for the 76ers to not be the big team in 2 years. So that means LeBron stays in Cleveland, right? What's LeBron in Cleveland look like 2 years from now? Man, LeBron might not be able to run up and down the court 3 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kyrie in Boston, man, his physical problems are not going to go away. I'm not saying he's done. He's a good player. He remains a good player. But if you think that Kyrie, at his age, with his physical problems versus Ben Simmons, who basically can't grow a mustache yet, come on, man. The 76ers... They're not the heir apparent. They're just waiting. It's inevitable.
I'd say it's going to happen.
They would have to screw up royally somehow. Yeah, somebody would have to get arrested for murder and kicked out of the league for that to get derailed.
Well, speaking of things that got derailed, Oklahoma City, your preseason.
I don't remember that
NBA Finals pick now.
Let's be honest about the premise. Yeah.
The premise of the whole idea was we weren't going to take Cleveland. We weren't going to take Golden State. Give me somebody else.
Right.
You took the Thunder. At the time, seemed like a pretty good pick. Now, they're getting ready to get sent home.
They're getting ready to get sent home.
Unceremonious fashion by the Utah Jazz. BG.
And even if by some miracle they can win 3 straight and they don't get sent home, does anybody think they have a prayer against the Houston Rockets?
Is it fair to call the Big 3 experiment in Oklahoma City a failure?
Yes. How can you not? Okay, let's be honest. First of all, it's not the Big 3; it's the Big 2.5. Carmelo is not a full player. But go ahead.
And Carmelo's got the player option for next year for like $22 million. He's not opting out of that because there's not $22 million out there anywhere else for him.
No way.
So you're going to be saddled with Carmelo again next year. I mean, how this affects the perception of those three? To me, Anthony, I think the book is out on him. I mean, he is what he's a complimentary piece at this point in his career. Paul George.
And he's never had a stellar reputation. He has been a stellar scorer of the basketball. He's never played defense. And at his age, nobody expected more out of Carmelo than he got this year. But the other two guys, yes, that's a whole different discussion.
The perception of Paul George, he already had this kind of label of not being able to be the alpha dog on a championship team. There's a stat floating around out there that he's 0 for 14 in his career when it comes down to game-winning field goals at the buzzer. He's never hit one. But I think the guy that takes the biggest hit on this one is Russell Westbrook. I mean, last year the story was
people saying he should have been the MVP.
He was the MVP last year.
Right.
But the story was, if Russ just had some help, he's doing all this by himself. If he had another guy, this team would be able to take the next step and
then
come
turn around and get bounced in the first round.
They basically have the same record they had last year. They're going to get bounced in the same round they got bounced in last year to a team that's worse than they lost to last year. And by the way, he let Ricky Rubio get into his head the other night. Did you see that?
Yes.
Rubio lights him up in Game 3. He comes out and says, I'm shutting that bleep off. He comes out. He has 2 fouls in 8 minutes, 4 fouls at halftime. Ricky Rubio flat owned him the other night. He's already got a reputation of being difficult to play with and deal with.
And your casual basketball fan
This is bad for
doesn't
him.
know who Ricky Rubio is.
No.
And, you can't let a guy who people don't know do that to you, who everybody knows. I mean, you have to be, and we've talked about this, man. He's always had a slightly unstable look in his eye to me. I mean, and we've talked about it, he can be kind of difficult to deal with, and this, that, and the other, and maybe Kevin Durant's the guy who looks like a genius here. I mean, bye.
Well, I think he looked like a genius the day he left, but that's a different. To me, Westbrook, they're on the hook for Westbrook. Oklahoma City is. They're on the hook with him for another 4 years. He signed the Supermax deal. He's not going anywhere. Paul George, they say that he's enjoyed his time in Oklahoma City, that he likes it there. I don't know if he likes it enough to deal with being Russell Westbrook's running mate, being second in command. But,
unless that's how he's comfortable.
Unless that's how he's comfortable. So, I don't know. But I think the guy that's taking the biggest hit in all of this has got to be Westbrook. I mean, to me, there's just no way around it. He's the alpha dog on this team. And for them to flame out like they have,
it's a bad look.
It looks bad, and you got to lay the blame at Westbrook's feet.
To the Utah Jazz. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, they did. They had a great season. Team. But I'm talking about perception. You walk up and down the streets and you say, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, and you say Utah Jazz. Most people are going to think,
what?
I think that people are like, no, I think they're pretty bad. No, they're the 3 seed. But, again, I don't think that's the perception. And I think people think of the Oklahoma City Thunder as a power team. One of 2 or 3. And, you can't let this happen. And you're not going to lose it in 7, man. You're going to lose it in 6 at best.
Well, the perception around the NBA, around the Pacers, is that they had no chance. And for about a week and a half, that changed. I think the Pacers were in the driver's seat. You had everything going for you. You're up 2-1.
Lance Stevenson.
And Lance Stevenson jumps in there. He pokes the bear.
I swear.
All of a sudden, you're there 2-2, going back to Cleveland. Did the Pacers blow their chance?
Poking the bear. He gave them points.
Yeah,
he gave them 3. I mean, that game, you had to win it. If you're a Pacers fan, man, that game, it was right there. All you had to reach out and grab it, and instead, we're going to start playing tackle football and blowing in people's ear and give them 5 free throws. You can't do that.
It's hard to envision a scenario where Indiana didn't blow the chance to win the series the other night. I mean,
it does.
I know
it's inevitable.
I know they're playing
for you guys.
I know they got Game 5 tonight. It's in Cleveland. They won Game 1 in Cleveland. And they get to come home for 6, but it just felt like you had to get that 4. Because if you go up 3-1, this Cleveland team is not a mentally tough team.
Right.
I don't think they're a physically tough team. I think they're soft. If you get up 3-1 on them, and with a chance to close them out at home in the Game 6, I think that was your shot. I think they blew it.
I think they blew it too. That being said, if you can beat them tonight,
I would say if you beat them tonight,
it's a coin toss.
Well, I say if you beat them tonight, then you've righted the ship and you're back where you were. But this is a tall ask.
But no, you're not quite back where you were though. But there's a difference between the order you're going up 3 games to 1.
But the idea
and
of being
the other
able
team knowing they have to win 3 straight.
And LeBron's done that before.
Sure,
but
not this LeBron.
The idea of being able to come home and close it out at home, that's the point. That's the idea behind it.
But we talked about this a couple weeks ago too. Either way, and I know you're a Pacers fan, so it matters to you. But for the bigger picture of basketball, the Pacers have already done their job. They didn't get swept. Teams that go on to win finals, they don't lose games in the first round, which is why I think we can already tell you who the inevitable champion is going to be here. Okay, but they've taken some steam out of that Cleveland train, if it had much.
Well, what are you thinking, LeBron? He's at a record pace. They're using him at an unbelievable rate. What are the chances that he continues this and is able to push this current iteration of players and maintain his current pace to an NBA Finals?
Very small, because they're not going to make it to the NBA Finals. The 76ers are going to beat them. I think they're going to beat them in 5 games. This team is not going to the finals. They're not.
No, I agree with you. I don't think as currently constructed. No, I don't think that this team is going to the finals.
What can you do by 2 weeks from now?
4 games with the Pacers. All right, LeBron James has scored 130 points in those 4 games. All right. You talk about LeBron needing help. Some other guys, the next leading scorer on the team.
No.
It's Kevin Love. You know how many points Kevin Love has through 4 games?
Total points.
LeBron has 130.
22.
He has 48 points. So LeBron has outscored him by 90 points. Almost 90 points through 4 ball games. I mean, he is doing this almost by himself. It is ridiculous. But on a night in, night out, start to finish basis, they are where they are because LeBron James is doing this.
Don't be surprised if the Pacers win this game, because if you think about it, there's pressure on Cleveland. Because let's be honest, they had that. The Pacers handed them that game.
Absolutely,
they could have won that game.
Absolutely,
and I think the Cavs know that stuff, man. It's like we've talked about. Sometimes the hardest football to catch is the one where you're wide open.
Yep.
And so don't be surprised if Cleveland just chokes. I could see it happen.
I would love it.
But I don't think they maintain. He maintains this pace to the finals, because I don't think they make the finals. But assuming they do, no, I don't think he can play this many minutes every night.
Well, let me say this: if they make it to the finals, it won't be because he's able to maintain this pace. To me, that's unsustainable. If they make it, it's because somebody else steps up. So, college basketball, big news today. Maybe some, not so much. The Commission on College Basketball, or whatever they're calling themselves, we'll call them the Condoleezza Rice and Friends group.
Yeah.
They come out today. They take 60 pages. They come out with their report, 60 pages long. I'm sure you didn't flip through any of it. I glanced at a little bit of it this morning. Was there anything in there or anything that you heard that you agreed with, didn't agree with?
I like the idea.
What was the thing, as somebody that doesn't follow college basketball as close as me, what jumps out to you?
I think an 18-year-old kid, if an NBA roster, if they want them, I think they should be able to go play pro ball. I think the damage it's doing to college basketball versus the damage you're, quote, preventing in the NBA is nil. This isn't the NFL. Nobody's going to get killed on a college basketball court because they're not ready. If they're not ready, then they sit. Right? You got a small roster spot. We're not talking about many people. I don't know.
You're talking 10.
In a good year.
Yeah, I was say you're talking 10 in a good year.
I also like the idea of not punishing an undrafted kid if he doesn't hire an agent. You're going to see, if that goes through, though, and that's a big if, you'll see a ton of kids going into the draft. Because why not?
Well, so right now you've got 100 some odd underclassmen who've declared for the draft right now. There's only 60 spots.
Right. But again, we talk about this stuff, and it's so different than it would be in any other profession on earth. and I'm not going to go back to my welding analogy,
No,
but what I'm saying is, man, we act like these guys are criminals or something. Like it's a game.
Well,
let them go do their thing.
You know, I listened to some of the press conference this morning when they came out and did the whole dog and pony show, and the first thing that jumped out to me was their answer to everything was in the one and done. And it was
right.
That was the whole basis
and I
of
think
it.
That's the one thing you're going to get consensus on. People are sick of it.
Right. But they focused so much energy on we need to end this one and done, and then it was but we need the NBA to do that. We need the NBA Players Association to. So what did they really do now? The thing that there were a couple things that I really did agree with, like you said, letting the players, the undrafted players, go back to school. And she made made a good point in the report where she said, look, these college coaches, yes, it affects them as far as constructing a roster and knowing who's going to be there. But these guys are pretty smart guys. They know, hey, this kid's not going to get drafted.
But everybody would be dealing with the same issue.
Everybody's going to be dealing with the same thing. The one thing that I thought was odd, and she said it like the first 5 minutes that I had it turned on, was that if the NBA decides not to address this issue, which I'm with you. I think it's a long shot because Adam Silver has said, look, they don't want these kids anymore.
Right.
So, we need to take a look at this. But she actually said that if they decided not to change that they would look at freshman ineligibility. Are you kidding me?
That's insane.
Are you kidding me? You want to sign your death warrant as an organization? Go back to making freshmen. Try and tell DeAndre Ayton, nah, you can't play today. You can't play this year. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
Well, it's the NCAA. They're going to say something completely out of touch with reality.
Oh, yeah. But for the most part, it was a lot of one and done is bad. Cheaters need to be banned for life, which is, double thumbs up in my opinion.
Sure.
But for the most part, I was expecting this big revelation kind of thing, that there would be lots of, and it was, it was
too mainstream to get that.
It was a lot of stuff that we can already all agree on.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no provision for how long a player needs to play if they go.
No,
that's the one thing But see, again, and I wrote it down right here. The NBA would have to do almost all of this, which is the problem with this. It's a college discussion, but the rules are all controlled by the NBA.
Well, you just said the one thing that they could do where they go, okay, well, this is the NBA's rule. They need to change it. They could force the NBA's hand and say, okay, if this kid comes to school, just like baseball does, he has to stay for X number of years. They addressed that.
They can do that.
They can do that.
Right.
They addressed it. They said, look, we talked about it. We brought it up. But at the end of the day, the main theme was we don't want kids in school who don't want to be in school. And so they said, look, if you make these kids stay, then you're going to wind up with, what's the word? I'm drawing a blank on the word here. Unhappy, not malcontents, or whatever. Yeah. You're going to wind up with folks who don't want to be there. It's going to, and those
Ben
are people,
Simmons at LSU. He's the classic example.
Yes, and they're going to wind up. They're going to be magnets for the same type of seedy corruption, bags of money type of deals that you're trying to explicitly avoid with all the new rules.
But again, and I'm just going to throw this out there. This stuff that we act like, the bags of money, right? Mm-hmm. That we act like is just so horrible. In a business college, it goes on every day with headhunters from corporations recruiting these kids, and we think it's perfectly fine and normal. Mm-hmm. We get really weird when it comes to sports, and I don't know why. It's really strange to me. Whatever, man. It's money and a round ball.
Well,
Shut up.
That was the other
Move
thing.
on.
The other thing I was a little disappointed with was that they didn't address that at all. They basically punted on the whole, using your own likeness kind of thing. It basically said, "Oh, it's tied up in the courts. We'll revisit it later." Very disappointed that didn't get at least brought up or mentioned at all.
All right, TanMan, we got about 5 minutes left. My thumb is all warmed up.
Your thumb is warmed up.
Yeah, hit me with it. Let's go.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Some legendary college basketball coaches. We know who they are. We're not going to name names. some college basketball coaches will choose to hang it up rather than go through a remodel of the sport. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Well, I mean, you made it kind of easy because you didn't name anybody. So, I mean, some, yes, thumbs up. Some of them will hang it up. Let's make it a little higher pressure. Throw me a name.
Well, I don't mean the guy who's on the fence.
I don't know if Roy's a legend, is he? I mean, is he a legend?
Oh, man, you get the hell out of my house. Roy, Mike Krzyzewski. Is Krzyzewski going to go through a whole remodel? Is John Calipari going to sit through basically a remodel, or is he going to leave leave college basketball head to the NBA?
He'll leave. He'll leave because
is Coach K going to sit through a remodel of? Is he going to reincarnate himself into a different version?
This version of Coach K, maybe not, because unfortunately he has sold himself into this one and done things so heavily now. I think it's hard to come back from like that. I mean, 2 or 5 years ago, maybe he would. I mean, and again, these guys they're old, man. I mean, like,
well, and that was
and again, Coach K's having health problems and everything.
That was the point. Rather than with age and everything else, rather than just completely redo and go through, all the change, they're just going to get out, man.
I
say thumbs up.
I can see it.
It's going to happen. The story out of Tuscaloosa, Jalen Hurts' dad has come out and said that his son may transfer if he's not named the starting quarterback. His son went out in the spring game shortly thereafter and stunk. Jalen Hurts will not be on the Alabama football team next season. BG, I'm going thumbs down. I think Jalen Hurts stays. I think he stays, and I think week 1 he's the starting quarterback in Alabama.
I absolutely agree with you. I think when somebody's dad comes out and says something like that, that almost makes it a guarantee it's all a bunch of hot air. Guys that are actually thinking about leaving, they don't mouth off about this stuff. They're just on their way out.
Yeah.
It's like the whole old adage. I mean, the guy in the bar that's telling you he's going to kick your butt isn't the guy you got to worry about. It's the quiet guy in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was really thinking about leaving, I think it'd be kind of hush-hush and he wouldn't want all this drama.
Yeah, I agree. I think he stays. Lance Stevenson, we talked about him a few minutes ago. Lance Stevenson is a hindrance to the Pacers. BG, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. He cost them a game, man. He cost them a game. And his contributions otherwise do not even out that situation.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say thumbs up. I don't believe that Lance Stevenson could play for any other team in the league. Heck, we saw it. He goes to Charlotte.
He is a ping pong ball.
He goes to the Clippers. He stunk. He goes to the Grizzlies. He stunk. The only team in the league that he could play for is the Pacers, and he's really only there to guard and irritate LeBron James.
Yes.
And it hasn't worked, man.
No.
It hasn't. It's funny.
It is funny.
It fires the crowd up. Everybody loves him, but it doesn't work. Yes, he's a hindrance.
But
to
I mean,
the
he
Pacers.
Literally put points on the board in the fourth quarter for a team that didn't need any points. There's no way around that. He put points on the scoreboard.
Stop
for the
poking
other
the
team.
bear. Stop making LeBron James mad. The Giants will trade out of number 2. BG, that number 2 spot has changed hands in some way, shape, or form 3 out of the last 4 years. Thumbs up or thumbs down? I'm going thumbs up. I think the Giants trade out of number 2, and they trade with someone looking to come up to get one of the other QBs.
I'm going to go thumbs down. I think they want a quarterback. I don't think it's the right decision, but I think they draft a quarterback. I think they draft either Allen or Darnold.
I think if the Browns pass on Sam Darnold, I think the Giants take him. I think that's the one guy.
That's really what we're asking.
I think that's the one guy they would stay there for. But
I think Darnold's gone. I think he's gone first overall.
I think he is too. And if he is, I think the Giants trade out. Finally, I think they said it's only happened one other time. I think it was like the class of '83, that famed class of '83.
Yeah, this is not that close.
6 quarterbacks going in the first round. BG, are we going to see it this year? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm going thumbs down because I think it's 5. I've looked at it every way till Sunday. I think there's 5 quarterbacks, maybe just 4. But I don't see 6.
I'm going to go thumbs down just because if it's only happened once, I'm going to play the odds. But it depends on Lamar Jackson. If Jackson goes early enough, then I think some Mason Rudolph can
He's going to go first overall if I'm GM.
No, if Jackson goes early enough, then Mason Rudolph can sneak back in. That's it for the week, guys. Make sure you can follow us at the Border War. You can follow BG at BG_Border War. I'm at TanMan3264. Make sure you email us, CarolinaBorderWar@gmail.com. Be sure to like us and download us through the Spreaker app, and we're on YouTube. And make sure you like us and follow us on Facebook as well.